DJI is rethinking the action camera with their brand new DJI Action 2. Featuring a magnetic, modular design, the camera works well on its own, but can quickly be augmented with a variety of modules and attachments. So let's dive in and take a closer look at the DJI Action 2. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Toys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications with the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Hey everyone, Jordan here with 9 to 5 Toys. Now, I'm really excited about the Action 2. I've been using DJI products for quite a while, and so I was really stoked when I was asked to check this out prior to its release. So let's dive right in and take a look at the overall design. At first look, the DJI Action 2 might be reminiscent of the GoPro session cameras with its square design, but it's quite a bit different. On front is the large f2.8 lens along with a sensor for color temperature. Up top is a single physical button that can power on the camera and start recording. The button has some decent weight to it. It's easy to find but requires a bit of force, so it will be hard to accidentally press, which is a good design consideration for action cameras. And on the bottom here is what really sets the DJI Action 2 apart, with this little expansion port that unlocks all the modular capabilities of the Action 2, and we'll dive into that more here in a second. And on the back is one large touchscreen that makes tweaking settings, setting up shots, and reviewing footage a breeze. And the whole thing feels really well built. Not that a GoPro feels cheap or flimsy, but the machined metal body and weight of the DJI Action 2 make it feel like it's a step above the GoPros that I'm used to. Weighing in at 58 grams for the camera itself and measuring 39mm by 39mm by 22mm deep, it's easy to pack along when used as the camera itself. And compared to a GoPro Hero 8, the DJI Action 2 is much smaller. Adding a module obviously makes the camera bigger, but the DJI Action 2 is very capable just by itself. So what really sets the DJI Action 2 apart is this kind of modular magnetic design. So DJI has designed a lot of different attachments for this thing. So you can get it in two different combo sets. You can either get the battery combo or the dual screen combo. We have both here to demonstrate those, but this is the packaging for the dual screen combo. So with that dual screen combo, what you get is basically a front-facing screen that can just snap onto the bottom really easily like that. So there's a strong magnet where there are those pins there at the bottom, and then on the sides there are these kind of latching arms that will clamp in and hold on securely to the camera to make sure that they don't fall apart. So to release it, then you just push in on these sides and pull it apart, and then you have the camera by itself again. And so likewise, you can do that with the battery module as well. It will just snap in here and connect, and then easily disconnect as well. The battery module is about the same dimension as the actual camera itself, and it can extend the recording time up to 180 minutes, and can also be quickly swapped out with another battery module to extend that even further. The battery combo is priced competitively against other action cameras like the GoPro Hero 10 at $400. The dual screen combo will also extend the battery life up to 160 minutes, but it also acts like an additional front-facing touchscreen. So for those taking selfies or vlogging with the DJI Action 2, this is going to be a huge advantage. While it isn't any larger than the built-in screen on the back of the camera, the touchscreen module makes it easy to see your framing when the camera is pointing at you. You can also quickly make adjustments without turning the camera around. But this combo is considerably more expensive at $519, but it does also extend the battery life and adds a lot more functionality. In addition to these combo modules, DJI has prepared a vast assortment of other accessories to make the Action 2 a little more usable. So first off, most noticeably, the camera and the modules are not waterproof, so if you do want to do some action in water, then you're going to want to check out the waterproof case. Big enough to hold both the Action 2 camera and an attached module, the waterproof case protects the camera up to a 10-meter depth. And while it protects the camera well, and you can see one or two screens through the cover, the only downside is that you cannot use either touchscreen with the waterproof case. So you can either set the camera up before you get it in the case, or connect to it with the app to control it. Though if you really don't want the DJI Action 2 camera outside of a waterproof case, chances are you'll probably not want a phone out either. And this right here is going to be one notable difference with the GoPro line, as the new GoPros are completely waterproof directly out of the box. You don't need an additional case. So if you are doing a lot of water activities, a lot of water action sports, then that might be something that's a little bit more important to you. Another cool accessory reminds me of the Insta360 Go 2 that we checked out earlier this year, and that is a magnetic lanyard. So this neat attachment uses a magnetic connection on the bottom of the DJI Action 2, and this mount enables you to wear it like a necklace under your shirt that will grab onto the magnet on the camera. And while it is much bigger than the Insta360 Go 2, the camera is much more versatile, and this is a great way to capture adventures like hiking or exploring a new city. So that's a really neat accessory here. It makes it a little bit easier, hands-free, if you do want to just clip this on while going for a hike and exploring some canyons or going for a run, something like that. DJI also has a few different tripods and handles ready for the Action 2. Most notably is going to be this remote control extension rod. So you can see here it kind of folds up pretty small. It has a tripod base here, so it's easy to set it down on something, but then it will also extend into kind of like a selfie stick kind of setup. So you have a handle here which you can control starting and stopping recording on this remote, and then obviously you'd mount the camera up here, and this just makes it a little bit more, you know, like a selfie stick setup. And then if you do want to set it down, you can just open up the tripod and set it down as well. So some cool versatility built into that. DJI also has a mini tripod and a floating handle available if there's no need for smart control. And beyond tripods and handles, DJI has accessories for mounting the Action 2 on most action camera compatible accessories. This little magnetic clip here, this little magnetic adapter, will enable you to mount it onto, you know, anything that a GoPro can be mounted onto. So snap that on, make sure that the arms are locked in there, and then this will go on, you know, a chest mount or a head mount, a handlebar mount, anything that you already have for a GoPro or any accessory you see for a GoPro, this will enable use with that. One cool thing about this though is that makes, you know, swapping between different attachment points incredibly easy. If you have this mounted on a chest mount, you can just unattach it like this, and then it's ready to go. You don't have to mess around with unscrewing anything and removing any sort of connection point that way. So I really like how easy it is to remove and install this camera. It makes for filming on a motorcycle really easy when I want to check my footage. I can just unclip it really fast and pull it off, check my footage, and then really quickly snap it back onto a chest mount, and I'm ready to go. One other notable accessory attachment that I wanted to touch on is a snap-on magnetic lens that will go on the front of here. And so this is their macro lens, which allows the DJI Action 2 to focus a little bit closer. So you can get up to, I think, about 1 inch away to focus on things really up close. Now it does distort the image a little bit. Anything that's not directly in the middle being focused on looks a little bit funny. So if you do see a wider scene, it looks a little bit funny and lines aren't really straight across the horizon. So I'm not sure that I would really use that very much, but if you do intend on doing some macro shooting, then this is something that makes that easier and gives it a crisper image up close. On the back of the camera is that one large 1.7-inch touchscreen. Controlling the camera from this display has been easy and relatively intuitive. The touchscreen is quick and responsive. Swiping in different directions will bring up different menus and controls, so it's good to play around with those or familiarize yourself with those from the manual. Moving on to video features, headlining the spec sheet is the ability to shoot 4K at 120 FPS in a super wide 155-degree field of view. That's right in line with the competition from the likes of GoPro. If you need faster footage, you can drop down to 180 to shoot at 240 FPS, but action cameras usually don't look the best at lower resolutions. I try to keep the resolution as high as I can for the frame rate I'm shooting to ensure that the footage is sharp. There are 3 different field of view modes. There is a standard, which kind of de-warps the edges, there is a wide, and there is a 155-degree super wide, which definitely gets some distortion around the edges of the image. The DJI Action 2 also has time-lapse and hyperlapse mode. Hyperlapse worked well while going for a motorcycle ride to condense a longer trip into a shorter clip. I left it in auto mode, but you can dial in your own rate for how fast you want the video to move. To keep the image steady in fast-paced action scenarios, DJI has built in 2 different stabilization modes into the Action 2. First up is Rock Steady mode, which stabilizes the video and works in any resolution and FOV setting. And in my experience, it handled footage very well, making for smooth video when riding a motorcycle at 55 to 60 miles per hour. The second stabilization mode takes things a bit further with the Horizon Steady mode. This mode would keep the horizon level no matter how far the camera rotates, even 360 degrees. For extreme action like skiing, this is a great way to steady an image and make it easier to watch. While I didn't try any extreme sports, Horizon Steady mode worked great on my motorcycle ride when I was leaning into corners and when testing out the waterproof case. I've also been really impressed with the video quality. It can get a little noisy in darker footage, but overall it's pretty sharp. The stabilization does an incredible job of keeping the footage smooth, which is one of the most important factors when considering an action camera. What good is the footage if it's a nausea-inducing shaky mess? Riding around at sunset shooting 4K 24 FPS, I was very happy with the image coming out of the DJI Action 2. When the scene got a little shadowy, it's possible to pick out some noise when the image is blown up to fill a computer monitor, but those are some really challenging conditions for any camera. Shooting into a really bright autumn sun while dipping in and out of shadowed road requires some hefty software to ensure that it doesn't look terrible. And overall, I've been impressed with the mic system on the Action 2 as well. While riding a motorcycle around 50 to 60 miles per hour, there really wasn't any wind noise in the recorded video. DJI is using what they call a DJI Matrix stereo technology, which utilizes 4 microphones and wind reduction. To me, it really does sound great for an action camera. DJI also plans on releasing a wireless mic that will be compatible with the Action 2, though I'm not too sure when that's going to come out yet. And while I've also heard that using a 3.5mm to USB Type-C adapter will enable the use of third-party microphones, I haven't been able to try that yet myself. Moving on to the software side of things, while you can control pretty much everything on the camera itself, the DJI app is another handy way to check your framing and change settings. In the app, it's easy to change shooting modes, tweak video settings, and watch or download recorded clips. And the Action 2 is ready to go just by itself. It has 32 gigabytes of internal storage, though after all the system information, you're left with about 22 gigabytes. I was able to get about 30 minutes of footage shooting 4K footage, which is pretty good for internal storage. If you do need more storage than that though, both of the modules have a micro SD card slot. So you can install a separate micro SD card, you select to save to that, and then you can record a lot more footage before filling up the storage. As far as battery life, I filled up the internal storage in 30 minutes while on a motorcycle ride, and when I got back, the battery was dead as well. So for my testing, I'd say that the battery life is right around 30 minutes on camera by itself. But with the dual screen module, the battery life goes up to 160 minutes, and with the battery module, that goes up even further to 180 minutes. When plugging the Action 2 into a computer, you can either download video clips from the internal storage or use the camera as a webcam. While not a major feature, this does make the camera more useful. One potentially large caveat on the DJI Action 2 is overheating. While doing battery tests recording at 4K at 30 FPS at my desk, the camera would get hot enough that it would stop recording a few minutes into a clip. While it felt hot to the touch, it wasn't dangerously hot. I asked my contact at DJI about it, and they said that it's most likely from recording at a high resolution, and that recording at a lower resolution could help with heating issues. That being said, I only had overheating problems when my camera was sitting at my desk. I was able to capture 20-minute clips riding my motorcycle without any issues. So really, I think that the DJI Action 2 is a great alternative to the more standard GoPro. Its modular design means that it's small when you want it to be, but it can easily be built out to a more capable system. It has internal storage, but it can be expanded. It's packing incredible video quality for the size, but it can also feature a front-facing screen when those are needed. It can be more discreet on a magnetic lanyard, or combined with a remote control extension rod for a more versatile filming setup. While both of these cameras are really easy to use, both DJI and GoPro have made a super simple, intuitive action camera. I don't know, there's just something about, the quality of this thing for the small size and the feel of everything. I've really been drawn to the DJI Action 2. I love how small it is if I just want to take it with me to grab something quick and easy. I love the kind of quick attach here. It makes it a lot easier for kind of pulling off and checking footage like I mentioned when I am riding my motorcycle. And I also like that you can kind of build it out and expand it with different modules to fit, whatever your shooting requirements are. Of course, adding some of these different accessories like the waterproof case, one of these tripods, some of these different attachment points is going to bring up the price a little bit, but starting at just $400 with a battery module, this is competitively priced. Alright, and that'll do it for our review of the DJI Action 2 camera. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.